It's better to be prepared and wrong than to be right and unprepared. So what is going on, traders? Welcome back to the Traveling Trader. Happy Tuesday to you. So I wanted to give you guys a market update today, even though there hasn't been a significant move in the market. The market cap continues to teeter between 170 and 175 bill. It is rather volatile, jumping from 170 in a few hours to 175 bill in another few hours back to 173. So there is kind of some volatility within that range, but the general range is between 170 and 175 for the last week or so. We do see a lot of bleeding in terms of alts priced against USD in the last week. Most of these are in correction territory, right? Over 10% or more. But this is rather expected, right? I mean, as long as we don't see a significant drop in the market cap. So if we look at the total market cap on a chart, here's the crypto total market cap. Now, I'm not sure where this is sourced from, because the market cap on this chart always seems to be about 10 billion smaller than what we see on crypto market cap. Obviously, there are different sources of information, so numbers could differ a bit, but this one always seems to be $10 billion less than what we see. Anyway, but if we look at it on a chart, you'll see that we have a period of being majorly overbought here in the crypto space. And this looks a lot like Bitcoin or even Litecoin, or if you pick any of the top alts priced against USD, this is generally what it looks like. We have this major period of being overbought that we haven't seen since the bull rally of the end of 2017. And so we're naturally going to see some cooling off from there. Now, where are we going to dip to if there is a dip? And it looks like, for all intents and purposes, based on the oscillator indicators, the fact that we were majorly overbought, the MACD crossover, it looks like we might see a slight dip. Now, for me, the natural support level, right, just based off of this chart, would be at around the 200-day. If we do fall, I wouldn't want to see a fall below the 200-day, which in the crypto market cap, overall market cap would be at around 155 bill. Remember, this is 10 billion smaller than what we see in coin market cap. If we look at BTC, again, the charts look very similar, but it's close to the same. So I would look for, I wouldn't want to fall below the 200-day moving average. And you see this majorly overbought level here on Bitcoin as well. So if we measure the last couple times that Bitcoin was overbought, how much it dipped to. Obviously, you have the famous dip after 2018. This is an anomaly because this was coming after the biggest bull run of all time. So you have the 60% drop, and then back here at August, when we hit overbought levels, we had this almost 30% drop. So what would be the 200-day? What would that represent in terms of percentage? It would be around 15%. And if we go to what the strong support is, which used to be resistance at around 4,100, that is a little over 20%. So I expect this drop to be, if we do end up dropping, I do expect to hold above the 200-day. And if we fall below that, then, we need to maintain above this strong support here of 4,100, which used to be resistance, right? Which we were trying to break for the longest time, and we eventually broke. So we need to bounce off of this in order for us to maintain a semblance of market stability in the crypto market. Because if we do break this, then obviously, all bets are off, and we can eventually we can eye 3,100, between 3,100 and 3,200 as the support level. And we don't want to see that, because obviously, if that's breached, then we're going to be seeing new lows for Bitcoin. So I don't want to think too far ahead. I mean, again, technical analysis is not about predicting or crystal ball predictions. It's about being prepared for certain moves if and when they occur. It's better to be prepared and wrong than to be right and unprepared. So in this case, obviously, you want to set your stop limits appropriately. I already have a stop limit on the Bitcoin that I hold. That way you take profit before a major move down, and then potentially have a chance to buy back. And if you want access to the trade alerts, link is in the description. The one good sign that we see here is the on balance volume. continues to rise, right? We have this uptrend in on balance volume, which means that positive interest in Bitcoin has not waned, right? And the volume that we see recently mostly consists of positive volume. So that is a good sign. We haven't had many sell-offs in Bitcoin. In terms of the overall pattern, right, you do see this Adam and Eve pattern. It's actually easier to see on the 1 week. So let me just remove these drawing tools, but it's a lot easier to see on the 1 week. So an Adam and Eve pattern is essentially just a form of a double bottom, which is a potentially bullish reversal pattern coming from a downtrend. So you have this sharp dip here followed by this rounded valley, right? And that essentially is a double bottom. They don't have to hit exactly the same bottom, but as long as they're in ballpark range, you can consider this an Adam and Eve, right? And what we tend to see is coming from a downtrend, you obviously have a resistance line, right? Almost similar to a rounding bottom, and you want to see a break from this. Now, the problem is this resistance is also around the 50-week moving average. So we are naturally going to see some resistance at this key moving average level. Again, that on balance volume that I talked about is still present here. And in the long term, we have, long term looking at the weekly, we have a lot more room to grow on the RSI as well as the positively trending MACD. You see the MACD crossover and the green histogram. So on the weekly, there are more bullish signs than not. And, I do expect to see a retest of this resistance at around between 5,400 and 5,500 again, and eventually a break above 5,500 later this year. But as we stated on the 1 day, we do need to have a cooling off period that could bring us down to 4,600. And that's why you want to jump between time frames when you're doing your overall analysis, is so that you can get different perspectives. So what's going on the 1 day won't be that detrimental when you're looking at the 1 week chart. And if we do drop to that 200-day or below, I will definitely be looking for buyback opportunities, not only on Bitcoin, but other coins as well. So again, if you want access to the trade alerts, link is in the description. Speaking of other coins, let us talk about Litecoin real quick. Here's Litecoin on the daily. Litecoin has been one of our major gainers going all the way back to the end of 2018, buying at around the $30 range, riding it up to almost $100 before it is finally retracing now. And you could see it teetering between the 0.382 and 0.236 fib levels here. But just like Bitcoin, it needs a cooling off period after being majorly overbought, again, the most since the bull rally of 2017. So if it does completely breach this fib level, I will be looking for support at around $70, and then below that is the 50-day moving average at around 64. Now, Litecoin is definitely moving a bit disproportionately to Bitcoin because you see the moving average crossovers. There's definitely the golden cross here that happened in March. So Litecoin is climbing at a faster rate than Bitcoin, right? I mean, it tripled in price essentially between December and March, April, and you can't really say that for most coins. The halving is coming up in August, which is definitely a major event. That's when you're going to get less block rewards for Litecoin, and essentially you're going to be limiting the supply of Litecoin in the market, which would naturally boost up the intrinsic value over time. So I'm bullish on Litecoin long term. The other coin that I'm bullish on is BNB. For those of you that aren't new to the channel, you know this. BNB has netted us over 200% gain since November, and we currently bought back in when it was started bouncing off of this $35,000 SAT level, or 35,000 SAT level, and it is now trading again above the 50-day moving average. And we netted 8% in the last couple of days. That trade alert was sent out, and you see the MACD starting to cross over again. BNB definitely looks different than the last two coins that we looked at, especially those two coins priced against USD, and we're looking at BNB against Bitcoin. But we already had our period of being overbought, and we already experienced the correction on BNB, and we're now oversold on the stochastic, oversold on the MACD. But the volume, the on balance volume that you see here, this is very important, continues to trend upward. So this is a good sign for BNB, and definitely one that would alert me to keep holding it long term. In terms of the stock trade alerts, yes, we do have stock trade alerts for the diamond traders and above, and we do send those out in the Discord. There's a separate section for stocks as well. You'll see Walt Disney. We entered Walt Disney at around $114. This was before they announced their streaming service. It was in anticipation of them announcing their streaming service, and now they are hitting all-time highs, and we gained 15% on Disney within a couple of weeks. If you look at the S&P 500, this is one that I'm contemplating. I'm actually not sure what the move is here. The S&P 500 is reaching all-time highs again. You saw it try to pierce this resistance level back in September, and now it is trying to pierce that level once again. It does look bullish, and you see the MACD trending upwards. The RSI has a lot more room to grow, and the volume just keeps coming in the stock market. And obviously, you see this potential inverse head and shoulders forming on the weekly. So, your natural reaction would be to short the S&P at this resistance, but it could easily, with stocks like Disney and Microsoft hitting all-time highs, we could propel past this resistance level. So currently, I'm holding out on making any moves on the S&P. One last one, a stock that we entered at around $123, and that is currently trading at $144. Not quite its all-time high, but getting there, is IBM. So we're currently up 16% on IBM as well. And the great thing about this stock is it pays a healthy dividend of $1.57 per share. Anyway, that is it for this video. If you want access to the trade alerts, link is in the description. Subscribe, hit that notification bell. Leave a comment if you have a question or a comment. If you need help with technical analysis or want one-on-one coaching with me, that link is also in the description. I take a max of 10 people per month, so those spots fill up fast. So hit me up. Stay safe out there. Peace.